video, I'm going to show you how to make a cardboard weaving loom. So we're going to start with a piece of cardboard. You can use any size of cardboard you like. With our ruler, we're just going to make a line across. And if your cardboard has one edge that's from the box itself rather than your cut edge, you can line up the end of your ruler there to get a squared off line. And we're going to make a line. And we'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so now we're gonna mark out where we need to cut. So your cut lines should be about 1 centimeter apart. And the important thing is that there are the exact same number of cut lines on this side as on that side, and that they line up. Okay, so I got to 14 on my ruler, 14 centimeters. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but I'm going to make sure that I start at the same end. So I started here, I started at this end, so I'm not going to start measuring from that end or my lines won't line up necessarily. So I have to start from this end. So what that means is I have to place my ruler away from the line like this and mark my centimeters. Once I've done that, I'm going to cut on these lines. I'm going to cut the cardboard from the edge to that line on each of my marked lines. Next, I'm going to be wrapping my warp thread around the loom. So your warp thread is the thread that you will be weaving into. For my warp thread, I'm just using this white yarn that I have. You can use any string or thread, ideally something with some strength to it. So I'm going to leave it attached to the ball of yarn for now because I'm not going to cut it off until I know how much I need. So I'll start by taking my end and tucking it into one end of my loom, leaving a tail on the back like this. And then I'll begin to wrap. So I'll go up to the slot on the opposite side, around the back, and continue into the next slot and the next one on the opposite side, and I'm going around the back every time, and I'll wrap the whole loom like that. Always make sure that you're lining up with the opposite slot on the opposite side, that they're not becoming crossed or twisted, or that you're not skipping any of the spaces. And try to wrap it fairly tight. So you don't want loose strands like this, you want them pulled tight. Okay, so when I finish wrapping, I'll go over to the back and I'm going to pull this, the strand that I've been wrapping with, over to where it can tie into a knot with the other strand. I'm going to cut it and I'm going to tie a knot between the strand that I started with and the strand that I finished with. So I'm going to tie them, and again I'm going to try to keep it fairly tight. Obviously not so tight that your cardboard bends in half, but fairly tight so that the strands will have some tautness to them while you're weaving. So there's your loom. And this is what we will use for our cardboard loom weaving.